Hi, I'm Russell with the Piano Outlet, and today I'm making an informational video about Yamaha G2s and C2s. A lot of times people ask me if I have a piano advertised that's from like the 70s or 80s. They're going, well, you know, I want a new one, it's better, this and that. And there really isn't any difference in the pianos, and that's what we're going to look at today. The differences between the actions, architecture, between the different vintage Yamaha G2s, which follows through all the Yamaha piano lines. Like the C3s will be similar, the G3s will be similar. They're all basically still the same, going back to right about 1970. Before 1970, there was a big difference in the actions, which is one reason why you would not consider any pianos prior to 1970. From 1970 on, they're pretty much all the same. The first piano here is about a 1974 G2. I actually sold this piano to somebody about 15 years ago, and the piano just arrived back here today. And what I'm really happy to see is really how nice the piano came back in, considering they had it for 15 years, and it's a 1974, so 15 years ago the piano was old. Today the piano came in, and I'm really happy to see the strings are in beautiful condition. There's no rust on them. The piano really can go another 10 years, easy. But I did see that the bass strings are kind of dead and tubby, so they really need to be replaced. If the camera can come closer, I'll show basically the things that we're going to do to update the appearance of the inside of the piano. If you notice, the strings are kind of dark, and we're going to take those out. And we take all the strings out, and once we take all the strings out, we can clean the soundboard. The soundboard has a varnish on it, and the varnish turns like a dark orange on pre-1980 Yamahas. And so that varnish has to be scraped off, and that'll reveal beautiful virgin spruce soundboard in perfect condition, which we clear coat so it's nice and light. We put a new decal on it so the piano will look new again inside. So one of the things that I want to show on all the pianos, the camera can come this way towards the front, is the actions. This is the action from this 1974, and you see it has an aluminum rail. After 1970, all Yamaha's pianos had this aluminum rail that the hammers were attached to. Prior to 1970, it was wood. So if you have a Yamaha grand piano, you're not sure of the age, one thing you can tell is if it doesn't have this aluminum rail, it was made before 1970. So if we look at this one's 1974, we have this one here, which is this one here is from this piano, this G2 here, which is a 1986. And if you look at the 1986, again, same size piano, but the inside of the piano, instead of being black, like you see on the 1979, this has a wood veneer, or a mahogany veneer inside. Also, the tuning pins, instead of being the style that these are, which these are called blue pins, they upgraded them to nickel plated. Now, it really doesn't matter, because tuning pins are tuning pins. The blue ones do have a tendency to rust sooner than the nickel plated ones, but the blue pins on that 1974 are like brand new still, because the piano was well taken care of. But the inside of this Yamaha G2 is very dusty. It just came in. It's about a 1986. This is also an American market piano. I know you hear a lot about American market versus Japanese market. 99% of my pianos come from Japan, so they're considered Japanese market. There's really no difference between the pianos. They all have the same parts, they play the same, they sound the same. Yamaha dealers like to say that Japanese market pianos are made for the Japanese climate, but there's really no such thing as a Japanese climate, because there's all kinds of climate in Japan, just like there is here in the US. But anyway, getting back to the pianos, over here is the action from the 1986, and you see it's exactly the same as the 1984, okay? Exactly the same action, there's nothing different, same technology in here. This is the whipping, this is what makes the hammers go up and down. It's exactly the same on here as it is on here. And then we'll move again on to the next piano, which this is I think this is a 2007 or 2008, maybe newer, I think it might be a 2010. But it's a C2X, which is the newest model Yamaha C2 and G2. It's basically in 1993 they changed the name of Yamaha G2 to a C2 because they wanted to keep the piano line uniform with regard to name. Because they used to have two different lines, the G series and the C series, but because of the declining need for pianos, they went to just the C series. So they just called all the pianos C. So this is a C2, it's basically the same thing as a G2. Now, the C2X is the newest version, because if you notice, all of these pianos have a little letter. Some of them have letters, some of them don't. Like the 1986 here is a G2R. So in 1986, when the R was put there, the piano dealers could say, oh, this is the G2R. It's much better than the last one, which is a G2 whatever. So that gave the piano dealers something to say in order to make the piano seem like it was new and improved, when in fact it's really just the same. So when we get back over here to the 2008 C2, I left the music stand on just for now, so you can see, because the piano, when they went to the C2X, the only difference that they made was architectural differences in the body of the piano. When this piano first came out, when I went to the piano dealer and I walked in and I pretended to be just a regular customer buying, I wanted to see what was new about the X series. I asked the salesman, I said, can I see the new X series? And they said, oh, the X series is new and improved. It's got a better action. It's got a better soundboard. It's got better this and better that. And I said, well, in what way is it better? Well, you know, the action is new and improved. It's faster. It's this and that. And meanwhile, I look at it, and it's the same action here as from 1986 and 1984. Same thing. They're interchangeable. I could actually take this action from this piano, which is the 2018, I could take this action and I could put it in this piano. And it'll play. That's what I mean, okay? So there really isn't any huge difference between these pianos like the manufacturer would want you to think, but obviously they want you to spend a lot of money. Anyway, getting back to the difference between this piano, I have another a C2 over here. This is a little older C2 that is more traditional in its style. So let's look at some of the differences in the cabinet. First, you're going to notice the music stand. Now realize that the manufacturer or Yamaha went to this design, I don't think really because it was that much nicer looking. I think it was because it's a little less expensive to manufacture. Because if you look at the style of this music stand, it's kind of plain, you know. If you look at the traditional style, I think that this is nicer, personally. My taste, I don't know. The other difference, I'm going to show you, because this is a C2 about a 2000. Again, this is about a 2010, maybe later, I'm not sure, but it is an X. The other thing too I'm going to show you is the bevel lid. On the C2, prior to the design change, you notice the bevel lid is actually a really nice bevel. It's nice and curved. It's more pronounced. Over here, it's really just really slanted down. It's just kind of put into like a wedge shape over here. Doesn't look as fancy as this. And to me, this seems like it's a little simpler to manufacture than this. Okay, this I think looks a little more elegant. Okay, another difference. I'm going to put this keyboard cover down. You notice this is, I kind of call this the shoulder of the piano. It's really not a universal name. It's basically what we call it here, the shoulders. And you see it comes up here and it's squared off. Nice little design. On the X, it just comes up. That's it. And this is a much simpler way to manufacture a piano than this. This requires a little bit more work. So that's another place where I notice that there's a difference that I kind of like the traditional look better. Now we're going to step back and we're going to look at the pedals. You notice the pedals on this, they're only shiny because this piano is actually sold and it's going to be going out shortly. It's actually going to Mexico. But you notice here, this is traditional pedal style. You have the two struts here and you have the pedal box here, and it's got a curve here. It's kind of this fancy looking and nice and everything. Also notice the legs. This is called a spade leg, okay? The way that you can tell Yamaha's lower end pianos that are made in China is that they don't have the spade leg anymore. All they have is a metal collar around here, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. The camera, come over here. This is the leg I'm talking about. This is on Yamaha's, all their lower end models that are like $10,000 baby grands, or 4'11" or so, GB1, GA1. They all have this type of leg. So if we go back over here to the C2X real quick. First, look at the pedals. very plain. It's just a pedal box here. There's no pretty curve like you see in the other pedals. It's just plain. I know given that it is dirty and everything, because this piano was not very well taken care of. But you see it's a lot plainer looking. Go back over to the other one, look at it. I think that looks nicer. I like everybody's feedback. If you can get back to me, let me know what style you like better. The other thing too is, look at the legs. See how they're much more plain? They just come down straight. Whereas the original style legs that you see even on the Steinways today are the spade legs. So really, what we have shown you today is the differences between the newer Yamahas and the older ones. The things that are most important have not changed. But the architecture, you know, the design features, they have changed. And to me, you know, it just kind of shows you that, you know, they cut back a little bit on the way the pianos are made as far as the design is concerned. Also wanted to show you another thing real quick before we end this. This piano just came in and it's like I said, about a 2010, maybe even newer. I'm not quite sure. But you see the strings in here? This is indicative of a piano that's really not been taken care of very well because they're all rusted, okay? Now, typically, you can kind of clean these, maybe with some very fine sandpaper and some polish, but they're still gonna be rusted underneath. So believe it or not, normally we never would restring a piano this new, but these strings are so far gone and this piano was so neglected that we're gonna have to change the strings. And if you come over here and look at the 1974, I don't know, you got a nice, just make sure we get a nice close-up so they can see the rusty strings. And then we're gonna show you the 1974, so you can see that a piano from 1974, all original, can actually be in better condition than in 2010. If you could see these strings here, maybe the camera come along this way because you'll get a better reflection and you'll see that the strings are in really nice shape over here. So this piano is in much better condition than the 2010 C2X. And as far as everything else concerned, the pianos are really all the same. So I hope that this takes some of the mystery away from, you know, the pianos and the design, and you can see that really from 1970 on till today, it's really the same piano. So the whole idea is that if you find an older piano that's been very well taken care of, and incidentally that's what we do here, we just buy pianos that come from homes that are hardly ever used, and as you can see through the actions, they're all very clean and all very nice, and that's all we take in here. There's more pianos out there that are not used than pianos that are really used a lot. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope this was informative, and if you have any questions, feel free to call me. Thank you.